I think the biggest thing is just the mental push through. Yeah, we're going to be tired, right? Like, but at the end of the day, we're going to be tired when it comes down to it. And this was a test that I say we failed, right? But you know, we can use this and be better next time. But we just didn't have it as a collective. And that's natural when you have a 5-7 and you're traveling and doing all that stuff. But as a collective, we just didn't do it together, and that's the tough part. Because when those moments, we got to talk even more. We got to execute even better. You know what I mean? And I think as a group, we just didn't do that, and we'll be better.
In terms of the offensive rhythm, why do you think it just kind of wasn't there?
Well, I mean, it's tough. It's one of those things where if you're not making shots as a group, like especially from three, like we're shooting 24%, you can't let it affect you as a whole. And then I come out there with 7 turnovers, doesn't help, right? You know what I mean? But as a group, like I said, when you're mentally fatigued and you're physically fatigued, that's when mentally you got to be sharper and stronger as a group. And we weren't that tonight, and I think that's the biggest thing.
Obviously, you have a homestand coming up. How do you want to respond?
Yeah, I mean, respond on Saturday and play well in front of the home crowd, sleep in our beds for a little bit, and then kind of recoup, and as a group, like I said, get better.
Donovan, what do you think that you guys need to do better in order to control how the game is played, like in terms of the style?
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like an execution standpoint on both sides, right? There's certain plays or certain things where if you get back cut, or if we do get back cut, who's there to protect? Like there's one where I got the foul on I forgot how to say his name, the lefty 55, but I get the foul because I'm a step late, right? Like those are situations where you got to be there early because we're gonna make mistakes, right? Guys are good, they're gonna make plays, but it's like, what do we do to cover those things up? And we just didn't do that. We haven't done that. And yeah, fatigue is obviously a factor, but at the end of the day, this is what it's going to be, right? And how do we continue to think the game as even though physically we may not be, where we want to be?
So you think that's more of a mental thing?
I think just being in our spot, because you see, obviously the young guys last night had energy and they did a great job as a collective, but it was just like, hey, even if you make aggressive mistakes, we had each other's back, right? Tonight wasn't that. Monday in the second, or was it Monday? Whatever it was, in the second half, you saw that, right? So it's like, how can we on a consistent basis do that every single night? And tonight we didn't do it, but we'll watch the film and we'll improve.
Donnie, you talked a lot about wanting to be effective this season, wanting to save your body as much as you could, but tonight you got downhill, you got 15 of 17 from the free throw line. What told you that tonight was a night that you need to get to the basket?
Well, I had the day off for a reason, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where when you have a plan, which we do as a team, which we all know, when you have that burst to get downhill, and obviously the 3-ball hasn't necessarily gone in for me the past few games, so just trying to make it a point. And also what comes with that is driving lanes and passing lanes and giving guys opportunities to shoot. But when you get a day off, you have fresher legs, you push the brake, try to get downhill, try to create, initiate, and live with the result. And I think we made some great plays. I mean, I had 7 turnovers, which are very bad, and some are stupid, some are, just it just happens, right? But at the end of the day, hey, just trying to create, trying to be that guy to get downhill and create. But at the end of the day, that's my job, to try to find a way to play make. And tonight was one of those nights where you got to go. You got to just find a way to get down there, and create, however that may be.
Without Darius and without Lonzo tonight, how much did you put on yourself, maybe even a little bit more than you needed to, for the offensive creation?
Yeah, when you read the game, right? And like I said, you can tell guys are tired, so now it's like, all right, making the point to be a little more aggressive. And I don't mean just to go score, right? Just to get down there and, make plays. And sometimes you make mistakes with that. I'm not going to be perfect, I'm not a guy who averages 7 turnovers, but I made some mistakes tonight, But I've also made some solid plays, and I watched the film, and I'll be better. But as it's my job to kind of feel what the game gives, right? And understand that, hey, let's slow the game down and get to the free throw line. Let's give guys a break. Like, let's give us a break to stay. Like, different things, and that's just part of it. And these are the nights where you just got to find ways to win by any means necessary. And unfortunately, it didn't happen tonight, but we'll be better.
Last regular season, everything started off perfectly. This has been an up and down start to the season. What can you learn from this and build off
this
experience?
This is. I hate to sound like a sicko, but this is great. Like, to be honest, because last year you started 15-0, we're blowing teams out. You're never really mentally tested, right? Like, you know what I mean? And I think now we've had, what are we, 8-5? 8-5. Like, in those 13 games, we've had 13 different scenarios, right? We've had blowouts, we've had come from behind wins, we've had given up a lead and still won, we've had, where we've just gave up the lead and like tonight, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's different things, and you're learning so much. And on top of that, our young guys, and I want to take away from your question 1 second, but like, our young guys have been phenomenal. Like, that's the thing that's been consistent the entire year. Nae'Qwan Tomlin, Craig Porter, Tyrese Proctor, Jalen Tyson have been phenomenal. I don't think you see that if we go 15-0, right? Like, I don't think you see that. So when we come to the playoffs, we know, they know, the moments. The fourth quarter, Tyrese is big time. Craig last night, Nae'Qwan tonight, 8 of 10, guarding Scotty Barnes, getting on the boards, right? Like Jalen Tyson, we've all seen what he's been doing. So like, we don't get that if we just go perfect. You go through all these things, and there were times in Utah we were 19-30 and then made the playoffs, right? So like, the sky's not falling. These are great tests for us and great battles, and we're not worried as a group. We have things to fix. Don't get it twisted, but this is a good place and a good thing for us to learn.
Evan had 7 shots, only took 7 shots in 35 minutes tonight. What can he do on his end to make himself more available?
Yeah, I think just being like more assertive, right? I think I said to y'all, a lot was put on him expectation-wise, rightfully so. He's done the work. He's been that, but it's never always going to be perfect, right? There's going to be nights where tonight he struggled, but he's also the same guy that when we played this guy last time, he had 29 and figured it out, right? So like, let's understand that there's going to be ebbs and flows. There's going to be days where we have to get on him. There's going to be days where he's going to figure it out, but like, it's all part of the process. And in a sense, this is a good thing because he sees, okay, I got to kind of assert myself here. You see in the fourth quarter against Miami, he's taking over, like, they're in the big shots, getting to the, like, so it's all part of that process. It's hard coming in and just being that guy right at a young age, like it's hard. It's not easy, and you guys are watching development in real time, and development isn't just a straight shot. You know what I mean? And I think for what you're seeing, it's just all part of the ebbs and flows, and he'll be better. He knows it, and we know it, and he'll be better for us. But it's all part of it.
Last question.
You mentioned Nae'Qwan Tomlin, and obviously wanting to have players that have that energy, that intensity, and obviously the Monster Ducks can do that. But like, his energy, his mentality, even when he's not getting minutes, to come in and have a game like tonight, what does that say about a player and what he can do when called upon?
Well, I mean, when you're ready for your moment, like, you look at, he's only played basketball for like 5 years. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's one of those things where he doesn't even know how good he can be. He's starting to figure it out, but it's all the little things. Like, it's the cut when I'm driving and he gets the dunk. Like, it's the little things that teams are going to load up on me. What are you going to do? You're going to stand there? No, you make the right play. Teams aren't going to box you out because they're necessarily worried about Evan or J.A. You come in there sneaking. Now you're getting 2 tips. Now you're getting 2 rebounds. Now you're there, energy play and 1, right? Like, it just lifts us. It's not always necessarily going to come from myself, DG, Ev, Dre, J.A., right? Like, it should, obviously, but like, there's going to be moments where, hey, we're going to need like that little burst. We're going to be a game 3 on the road, and they're going to be doing all they can, and you have him come in for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 minutes and fucking like change the game. Like, that's what you're seeing in these 13 games, and that's the bright spot, right? Like, there's so much growth to be had as a group, but you're seeing it in every single one of our young guys, and that's, if you take one thing from these 13 games, that's the highlight. They've been unreal, you know what I mean, and that's big time.